a hearing.
Well, okay, so when I see line 129, it says, so moving before that, petition for judicial review, lines 122, 30 days, board submits a summary of findings. Findings of board shall be considered prima facie evidence. Court should consider relevant evidence. Evidence documentation shall be mailed to the parties as well as submitted to the court. 129, the court may hold a hearing to determine the issue of classification. So I'm not seeing where a hearing is mandatory. Do you have any other language you can point to that would make a hearing on the evidence mandatory?
I think that it's possible that that has never been updated.
Okay.
That when there had been a ruling that requires the courts to hear it if an offender requests it. So I don't know that's ever been updated in the statute.
Okay.
But they are seen, and the judges have to see them and have a hearing.
Just as a matter of course?
Yes.
Okay. I'm still digging through this, to be totally frank, Mr. Chairman, and that's what I've got for now, but I just wanted to put a few of those issues out there for the committee's consideration. I don't want to take any more time, but thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Chairman Administration for a question.
Thank you, Chairman. As I recall, the discussion that occurred last session and the Park opinion came out late in session, as I recall, in 2019, and the discussion was really centered around whether there was some means by which the sex offender conditions could be in place if the existing statutes had a top end for what the sentence allowed for, to Representative McLaurin's point. And my recollection was, and I will mention also, I am familiar with, from my time as a prosecutor, the long list of conditions, sex offender conditions, which are not general conditions of any other sentence, that are unique to that sentence. And the issue was, what would the means be to impose similar sentencing conditions if a criminal offense had a top-end limit of sentencing? And I think the language as I read it here in lines 33, 34 is that the court would have the discretion to authorize probation for life. As to Representative McLaurin's question about the inconsistency with sentences in other statutes, and I'd be curious if there are any witnesses here that could talk to that, but I would think we have that in other areas. 1710, recidivist type treatment, you have the ability to exceed statutes, I believe, statute lengths in other general law. And it's just if certain conditions are met, then it's available. And I could be wrong about that, but that's my recollection. And so as I think about it, I don't necessarily see an inconsistency.
Judiciary Committee, full committee meeting of 2020. If you would, as we always do, bow your heads with me and we'll start this meeting off with a word of prayer. Lord, we, as always, thank you for the opportunity to come together as this committee. We ask you in this year of 2020 that you will be with us, as we've always asked before, to give us the wisdom to know what's best for the people of this state so that we may carry that out. We thank you for all the blessings that we have. Keep us safe as we move forward and bless us with that wisdom. Amen. All righty. Welcome to our first meeting of 2020. We've got some new folks helping us out this session that I want to introduce to you. Let's see. Why don't we begin with some old folks that are young that are helping us. Julius? Yeah, I just called you young. But Julius Talbert is excellent help for us from Legislative Council, and we appreciate you being back again here with us. Let's see, of course, Jerry Bowman, my boss, right out front. I answer to her, and she does a great job for us, and she was here with us last year. We do have a couple of new legal externs this year, second-year law students. Evan Long is here with us today. Evan, wave at everybody. Evan is a second year at University of Georgia and an undergraduate from Georgia Tech whose family is from the metro area, but he has kin people over in Augusta, so that overcomes the tech part. So, but he's recovering and he's doing great, so we're happy to have you, Evan. Next to him is David Chin, who is an intern, a third-year student, undergraduate at Georgia Tech. Is that right, David? Okay, and you're from Augusta also. All right, welcome. Good to have you with us. We also have a third law student, Bradley Scober. Bradley is a second year at Emory Law, and he's from New York and went to Loyola, Maryland, I believe, for his undergraduate. And he's at class, we think, this afternoon. At least that's what he said when he left. So, unlike some people on the committee, he says he goes to class, so we'll see. All righty. And then, of course, our new attorney, Evan Myers, right here to my left. Evan took Jordan Reed's place for us. Evan and Jordan actually were externs together back in 2014. And, of course, Evan, I think, came not too long after that to be with the committee for about 5 years. Excuse me, Jordan did be with the committee for about 5 years and did a great job. And Evan went down and was the bankruptcy judge's clerk on the coast in Brunswick for a couple of years. Then he practiced with some guy on the coast named Alex Atwood and Sam Choate. So he's overcoming that. But it's great to have him with us and with some practice experience. And he'll be keeping us straight as our attorney for the committee. So, welcome, members. Good to have you all back. So, after all that being said, did I forget anything, Evan? I think you're good. Okay. All right. He thinks I'm good, so I probably am. Let's dive right into it. We have one bill on the agenda today. That's House Bill 765. Judge Scoggins has that. Judge, you want to stay right there or you want to come in the middle? You can do either one you like. Okay. Press your microphone button so I can turn your mic on. Let's see. Well, nothing lit up. Let's all right. Yeah, there we go. How about try that one, Judge? Tell us about House Bill 765.
I've got a couple of magistrate judges with me here today.
And let me interrupt you, Judge, because I failed to do something else on my list. I had too many people to introduce, but I do want to recognize Superior Court Judge Kathy Gosling. Kathy, Judge, back there, good to see you. You visit us with us often. We appreciate it. I almost called you by your first name. But you're in the Northeastern Circuit, right, which is Hall and Dawson, and you come down often to be with us, and I always tell my Superior Court judges back in Augusta how much I appreciate them from their group sending someone to be here regularly to keep us straight, and you will hold somebody in contempt if I need for you to, right? Yeah, okay, good. So that'll make y'all behave here. Sharon Reese, right, is with the Executive Director of the Council of Magistrate Judges, and we have a few here today. So I'm going to ask you to introduce those judges that you have with you today.
I have Chief Magistrate Rebecca Pitts from Butts County.
Okay.
I have Magistrate Betsy Kidwell from Hurt, County, who's our vice chair of the legislative, and Chief Magistrate Mike Green from Jones County, who is part of our small committee. He's right here.
He's hiding behind the post. There we go. Yeah. Somebody from Georgia Tech did the architecture for this room. That's what it was. Yeah. Don't worry, y'all. It keeps coming. So yeah. All righty. Now, good to have all y'all here today, and thank you for introducing everybody. All right, Judge. I apologize. I've done right now, so you move right ahead.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Judge Kettle and Judge Bryson, come on up to the counter here. Judge Kettle was in here last year when I did a little cleanup bill on the magistrate court judges, and brought with Kelly and my magistrate from Bartow County, and he has blank warrants, and anybody that doesn't vote for this bill. This is as I mentioned, this is House Bill 765 today, and go ahead.
Thank you, Judge Scoggins. Judge Bryson. And Kidwell.
But yes, we're letting Brandon take the horns this year.
Well, as I've always known him, Judge Scoggins did a very good job of pretty much summing up the bill. So I'll be brief. So here today, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all about House Bill 765. This is a little bit different visit for me. I was thinking back my first time here. I think I was fourth grade and touring the Capitol and eating peanut butter sandwiches out on there was the two-headed calf. I was thinking about that earlier. Is that still here? It is. I'm going to have to go pay a visit to my old friend. So this is a little bit different today, but I do appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's an honor to represent the Council of Magistrate Court judges and my colleagues across the state. What this bill essentially does, it is an amendment to Code Section 151023, which, as it reads, provides a base salary for magistrate judges across the state. Our bill, like Judge Scoggins says, mimics Senate Bill 171, which was the COAG bill from last year. And what this bill essentially does is two things. The first is it provides, it rolls up all the COLAs that have been issued since 2010 into the base salary to provide for ease of calculation. This was at the request of ACCG. This was also done in the COAG bill, or Senate Bill 171 last year, which was passed. The second thing this bill does, it also provides for a 5% increase for magistrates across the state. As Judge pointed out, this would be the first one that has been given since 2007. This does apply to chief magistrates, associate magistrates, as well as the clerks. But that is essentially what this bill does. It also applies to magistrate and probate judges, those who have a dual role in the state. And as far as that pretty much sums it up. I understand that you all may have some questions. Me and Judge Kidwell and Judge Jones will be happy to answer those.
Thank you, Judge. We appreciate that. One thing I'd like to point out right away, the members of this committee have probably dealt with this before, but as we look on page 1, starting on line 25 and line 26 through 39, you said 5% increase, but anybody who runs the math would see that those numbers represent more than a 5% increase, and the reason is what you mentioned earlier. There were COLAs that took place since 2010.
Yes, sir.
And
This is
so,
actually from 2007.
was
There
it
was a-
07, Judge?
Yeah, there was a
Okay.
COLA in
Thank you, yes.
2007, 2008, 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 2020.
So these are cost of living increases that were worked into that, and we do not change the code every time a COLA is implemented. We have to catch those numbers up the next time we touch the code, so to speak. So that is constantly, members, a source of confusion sometimes on the floor of the House when these bills hits there, because someone will say 5% raise, and people start getting their phone out and doing the calculations, and you never want a confusion. So if the bill moves forward, that's something for all of us to remember who were here. If your neighbor asks you, it's because there were how many, Judge, COLAs?
There were actually 7 COLAs.
7 COLAs since 2007, you said, right?
Yes, sir.
2007, all right. I just want to make that one point because that's one of the first questions. So other than that 5% raise and correcting the numbers, getting them all right and bringing them up to date, is it my understanding that the bill does nothing else?
That is
That's
correct.
correct.
And it becomes effective on January the 1st, 2021?
Correct,
Yes.
just like the Senate Bill 171.
So if a county is on a calendar year budget, they don't have to deal with this until they effect a new budget. And if they're on a fiscal year budget, which may start in September or July, they also don't have to deal with it until the new budget comes around. Is that right? That's the
Yes.
purpose of that date. Okay. All righty. But Judge, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I'm basically, Brandon, I'm grooming him to take over from me. I retired from Georgia Tech, so 25 years at Tech, and hopefully will be retiring from magistrate court after.
I
12
never would have
years.
known if you hadn't told me. You're so polished. You know,
We brought her along for the math.
Yeah, right.
oh, the math. Okay, there we go. That makes sense. Yeah.
So, but basically, I'm here to answer any specific questions, and just in case anybody wants to know, I did a worksheet by population for both chiefs, full-time, hourly, monthly, and the probate supplement. Just in case you really want to look at all the figures, I have them here. But
Okay.
that's basically what it is. We're mirroring the COAG bill. We're asking for a 5% increase after all the.
And one more clarification. I do see a couple of questions that we'll get to. When you say the COAG bill, you're referring to the constitutional officers of Georgia,
Correct.
which included the sheriff, the probate judge, the clerk of court, and the tax commissioner. Is that correct?
That is correct. Senate
Yeah.
Bill 171.
Okay. What about the coroners? Were they in there? Okay. So those 4 constitutional officers were all included in identical percentages and methodology as we did for this one. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and that was approved last year.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. But the magistrate judges, being one of the 5 constitutional officers, were not included in
That
that
is
one.
correct.
Okay. All right, we do have a couple of questions. Unless judges, y'all had anything else you wanted to add? Judge Scoggins, before I go to questions, did you have anything else? All right, who's number 14? Is that, all right, Representative Wilson?
Just for the sake of all parties here, but also maybe watching the hearing, who pays the salaries for magistrate court?
The actual counties.
It's 100% counties, right?
Correct.
All right, number 11, Representative?
Thank you, Chair. I have a question for Judge Scoggins. Last year we did the probate bill, and this is magistrate court, and you're really good at getting pay raises. Next year, you're going to take on state rep pays?
We'll talk about it.
All right.
All right. Any other questions from members of the committee right now? Okay, judges, if you would hold on a second, do we have a sign-up sheet? And did anybody sign up? Deborah? All right, come on up. Judge, if one of y'all would just move over, just one side, no, I need these 2 center mics, just over one chair, and You can stand back there if you want to.
That's okay.
Yeah, we just need to
These are
find
my
you.
friends.
Need to find you a mic.
These are my friends.
Yeah. Welcome. Good to have you. Please, Deborah, introduce yourself to everybody else and tell us who you're with.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Deborah Nesbitt. I'm with the Association of County Commissioners, the one who pays these lovely people their salary every year. Like you mentioned several times, the COAG bill from last year, and our association was opposed to that bill, and it really was more a issue of transparency than it was the actual pay raise itself. And that's why I'm here today. For the very same reason. Our membership feels like it needs to maintain that position, the opposed position, because of the lack of transparency. Right now, county commissioners have to have public hearings in order to get a raise. They just feel like the public should have more information about these locally elected officials and how their salaries are calculated. So it's kind of a philosophical opposition. We don't have any wish to see the magistrate judges not get a pay raise. That's not what this is about. It really is about how the system works. And so if you will allow me, I would like to talk just a little bit about the compensation of these local officials as it relates to the superior courts too. If you'll remember, Chairman Powell, the last time the superior court judges got a pay raise, Chairman Powell put a cap on local supplements of $50,000. And that was to try to address the disparities in those salaries of superior court judges around the state. Superior court judges do not get longevity increases. Magistrate judges, probate judges, clerks, tax commissioners, and sheriffs, every term they get a longevity increase of 5%. And then whatever COLA is awarded to state employees goes on top of that. So they do get longevity increases. Superior court judges do not get longevity increases, and many times they don't get COLAs. So we're really facing a compression issue over the next few years as some of these local officials get those longevity increases and COLAs, and the superior court judges are not getting those pay raises. So the legislature decided in all their wisdom many, many, many years ago that they would set the salary schedule for these local officials, and the counties just had to pay it. And so we would suggest that perhaps the legislature needs to look at doing longevity increases for the superior court judges to help with that longevity issue, and because their supplements are capped. And that was all to try to bring this more in line. I mean, we have a book this thick every year to calculate salaries because of the calculations that are involved in these local officials. So again, the magistrate judges are my friends. I'm not here to say they don't deserve a pay raise. We would like to see y'all look closer at the system of pay for the local officials and all of the judges. We feel it might be more appropriate for the judges and the COAG officers to have their COLAs tied to the superior court COLAs, because as you know, the state employees' raises become more and more complicated. This year we got $1,000 for people that make under $40,000. Well, how are we ever supposed to try to figure out how that translates to what these local elected officials might be eligible for in the way of a COLA next year? Currently, OPB just sends us a letter. They figure out what they think it ought to be. They send us a letter on January 1, and that's what we consider the COLA for those constitutional officers to be. It's a very complex system, and it's really set up to, it really complicates those disparities. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
So Deborah, do y'all have a task force that is looking at this?
No, but we would certainly like to put one together if that's something y'all would like to see. I think trying to look at ways to make sure that they get, and quite frankly, it sets you up for political issues as well, because the superior court judges are coming to you for a raise, and then you got each of these other groups coming to you for a raise. And that, if we had a system like that, it would alleviate that. It would be, you could count on it, you could know when it's gonna happen, and there wouldn't be these continual. I've been at the Capitol more than 25 years, and judicial pay has always been an issue. It has always been an issue. Getting the raises, how it's reflected in the code is very different from what they're actually being paid, and so it has always been an issue.
Okay. Well, I'm certainly open to hearing about a different format or way to do this. I've listened to you, but I really hadn't grasped yet how we might do it differently. And you may have mentioned it, and I got lost somewhere in there. But
Well, I mean, really what complicates it as it relates to superior and state courts is that the locally elected folks get that longevity increase. So with every term that they're elected every 4 years,
Right.
they get a 5% pay increase.
Right.
Well, superior court judges don't get that.
Okay.
And state court judges are typically tied to superior court judge salaries.
Right.
And so what you're going to have is in the larger jurisdictions, you may have a magistrate that has been there for a long time,
Right.
or a probate judge, or a clerk of court. It's not just magistrates; it's all of those locally elected officials that are going to be getting very close, or if not going past what those base salaries are for superior court judges. And again, the supplements were given before, and that was decided locally. They were, as you know, were all over the map. You're in a good one. But they're all over the map, but it really does set it up for there to be a huge disparity. And so if the legislature felt it was wise for us to give those longevity increases, it might be something that the legislature wants to consider giving to the superior court judges. Is a longevity increase with every term to help keep everybody moving along at the same pace.
I had the interesting position of, before I was here, being chairman of a county commission in Columbia County, and we do have a good supplement for our judges in the Augusta Judicial Circuit. And it was because our chief judge, in my opinion, who happened to be a member of the legislature way back when, was very good at staying in touch with his county officials. There was an extremely good relationship. Whenever there were courthouse issues, you never had to worry about Judge Fleming weighing in on it. He was a distant cousin. And he very successfully worked with his county commissioners to get supplements. And I've always thought that working relationship that I experienced as the chairman of the county commission with my chief judge was very good. And he stayed in touch with us, and the other judges, quite frankly, did too. And I suspect that was one reason over the years he had an easy time getting supplements for his
And I would imagine in these other counties that is it too, and not in any way to say that should be the goal of everybody.
Right.
But there are some circuits that just can't pay it. I mean, there are some circuits that there's just not the money there in some of those rural counties to pay those supplements.
Right. All righty. Questions? Any members have any questions of Deborah? Deborah, we appreciate you coming today.
Thank you very
so
much.
much
I
for talking
appreciate
to
it.
us. All right. Do we have anybody else signed up? I don't think we do. Members, I had originally planned on having this as just a hearing only. Well, I had thought about doing it that way. I thought actually there would be more questions than we had today, and usually these numbers and the way they work even spark some confusion amongst members of this committee, not quite as much as on the floor when it comes up there. But seeing the small amount of discussion and questions about it, I think the chair will probably be willing, should somebody want to move, that we take a motion on this now. Having said that, is there anybody else have a reason why they might not want to do this today? I'm willing to listen to you, and before I ask for a motion. Judge, you want us to vote?
I make the motion that we accept this as written.
There's a do pass motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Judge, it looks like you're off the rules.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all being today. We'll stand adjourned.